Hello, and welcome to A Sip of Sunshine, the podcast that gives you a little insight into behind the scenes of the award-winning SEND advocacy service Sunshine Support. My name's Kat and I'm your host. I've been with Sunshine as the media content producer for a little over a year now, and I'm hoping to bring you all the gossip, news and trends from within our team. On today's show, we have our founder Chrissa, one of our wonderful advocates Gabby, and also the incredible media coordinator George. We will be discussing things like injustice, teaching and ADHD, and probably a whole host of other things along the way. So kick back, grab yourself something nice to sip on, and we will launch into today's show. And first up in the hot seat today is Chrissa, Sunshine Support's founder.
Good morning.
Let's talk a bit about 2023 because it was a fantastic year. How did you find it?
I'm tired. I'm still tired. The thing is, it's such a rewarding job, but I think I can probably speak on behalf of everybody. We're all very similar. We come into this with enormous amounts of passion for justice and for seeking that equity that everybody needs, but we can't switch off. So we're not the type of people to forget about everything at 5 o'clock every day when we close our laptops down. As I know you're aware, because you're exactly the same as me, it keeps ticking in your brain. So that Christmas period for us was a real time that we could all genuinely switch off, recuperate. And we're back into work. And it feels like we never left because there's lots of injustice, lots of inequity, and we've got a job to do. But 2023, I don't know where I was then, 2030, 10 years on. It was really, really busy and incredibly rewarding. And when we did those stats at the end of the year to sort of summarize what we'd done, we had to run those numbers 5, 6, 7 times because we couldn't quite believe the impact that we'd had. And it was quite emotional. It was quite emotional to read those numbers. Because as I always joke, it was only ever meant to be a free workshop. That's all I ever meant to set up in 2017. I never expected this. And it's just so amazing to have been able to achieve that. So yeah, good, tired, but good tired.
The numbers were fantastic across the board as well. It wasn't just one area. It was every single thing that we do, every way we reach out, every way that we get into contact with people. The numbers just reflected how much we all put our heart and soul into that. I think that's why it was emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we do really well is we listen. We listen to what our community needs. We're part of the community anyway, which makes it a little bit easier. But we respect the fact that we don't represent the entire community. We've got our own little section. And I like the way that we react and respond to what the community asks of us. So, they said to us, we would love to be able to come to the evening webinars, but it's not always possible. Is it okay to have recordings? And those requests were coming in thick and fast, along with, we can't financially afford the training that we need to do. Is there a way of us accessing this in an affordable manner? So we launched the Sunshine Academy. So, the fact that we've got that on-demand platform that can be accessed at a very, very low cost, and is accessible 24/7. And we thought that it would just stop at webinars. But of course, again, listening to the community, knowing that we've got some home ed stuff on there now. We've got quizzes. We've got the audio blogs. There's so much that we're doing on that platform. But also, so that there's that part. Then we also know the community needs validation and connection, and being able to offer that in person with a cuppa and chats, with the other social events. We've got some new types of social events that we're going to be launching this year, which we're really excited about. And we just needed the space and the resources, the staffing levels to be able to offer those out. I think one of the things that I don't think people know is just how much time, effort, and woman and manpower goes into the events alone. You know, there are so many of us organizing, managing, coordinating, and then attending the events, and it takes it out of you. It's a busy job, isn't it?
And also, in terms of manpower and woman power, our social media does take up a lot of that too. It's quite busy, and we do like to be really responsive. So we don't like to leave people sat in the inbox waiting for an answer for any length of time. But it's difficult on there because we don't want to waste our time fueling fires on top of fires when it comes to all the negative comments that we receive. And it's not the vast amount, but it's just enough to just take that little bit of time away from where we really want to focus and where we would really like to be spending our time.
I think they forget that we are people on the other end of it, and we work so hard. You know, we listen to the community, we talk to certain communities, we are certain communities, and we put so much thought and consideration into the things that we organize. It won't please all of the people all of the time, and I am too long in the tooth to ever believe that I would be able to please everybody. We can't please everybody. However, um, I think as we've grown and our social media account has become busier, and you know, we do reach the millions now, which is fantastic because it really does help with education, and education then has a knock-on effect to acceptance. And when we accept things as normal, because everything is normal, um, then that's when we start to see true equity and true justice. Um, and so it is important for us to continue that message. But how often do we have to, and it's usually me, shouting out to the rest of the team saying, we have put our heart and soul into this event or this graphic or whatever, and we've had a massive kickback on it. But people, rather than just give constructive criticism, they become quite personally aggressive. And we've had a lot of personal stuff, a lot of racist stuff, actually, which I cannot um, cope with. You know that it brings me to tears when it ventures into racist or any sort of really strong prejudice sort of comment. Um, I really, really struggle with that. But what I absolutely love is how we've got our group chats and we can say, we're being attacked here, guys, and all of a sudden everybody steps up to help. So it could be that we do have to ban a lot of people from our page, sadly, because there are some rude people and bots. We know some of these accounts are bots and they're trying to scam people on our page. But what I also love is that the community comes around us. Like just recently, there was a post where a lot of people were attacking us, saying we're too woke because we were talking about disability and race. And our community just completely closed in on those people and said, hang on, there's an education to be had here. And yes, there were some people that were blocked, some people who just disappeared. They knew that they were in the wrong place. Um, but yeah, it's hard work. I mean, there's 6 or 7 of us working on that social media page. You know, well, not that social media page. We've got several. We've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Yeah.
And they're the ones we decide to sort of hone in on. And they're the ones we like. We get, you know, a lovely community vibe from our followers on there. But it's tricky. And I think because we're so emotionally attached, it can feel quite personal.
Yes, definitely. It does sometimes feel really, really personal, and we do all take it to heart. But with the social media, what I personally really like is if somebody has a valid point, a valid constructive criticism to give, we do as a team listen to that, we take it on board and we discuss it because we are part of the community. We're not sat there on, any high horses. It's if we see a learning opportunity, then we go as far as we can with that learning opportunity too. So it does really build that togetherness. And I
Yeah.
love that about our social media.
We listen. We always listen. And sometimes it's very, very, very rare that we can't make the change that's being asked of us. And usually that's down to resources because everything we do looks slick. Everything we do is very good quality. It's of a high quality, and people hold us to a high standard, which is fantastic. I like that. It keeps challenging us to be better. And I absolutely love that. But sometimes it isn't possible to make the adjustment that people are asking us to make. But that said, I can't actually think of a time recently where we've not been able to make that adjustment. We try and we work really, really hard. And I think as well, because of our fantastic team of neurospicy brains, as we like to call it, there's always a solution. So one of us might have one way of looking at it, but then you've got the rest of the team who look at things completely differently. And I totally see how people paint, neurospiciness as a bit of a spherical rainbow, because there is so many viewpoints and there are so many ways to do a job at Sunshine. And I absolutely love that. That's one of the things I absolutely adore about everybody who works here, is that we're all so incredibly different. And somehow we all really get on.
We do. There's never any office drama. It's been the most lovely place to work. Everyone genuinely adores everybody else. And it's beautiful. It's
Oh,
beautiful. There's never a time where I've got a question, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't answer that. It's just straight in the group chat. And there's always someone there who's like, yeah, I can do that. Or yeah, I know what the answer is to that. It's a great place to work. It really, really.
oh. I think I've been inspired there. I think we've all been traumatized by a previous workplace, at least one. And I use those bad experiences to inspire me, if you know what I mean, in a positive way. And I think that we have a lot of conversation about this within the team, don't we? Where you've got people who have been traumatized previously by work and perhaps didn't realize that they've been traumatized, and they come to Sunshine and there's a bit of shell shock to begin with, because it's like, really? Is it really? Have I got that much autonomy? Is it that flexible? Can I really work from home or work in the office? And can I actually work from the office all the time or at home all the time? Or do you mind if I cartwheel across the office to get my sensory input, or roly poly, naming no names? Um, but it is, it's everything I would have wanted from a place of work, but it's become so natural now. I can't imagine working any other way. So I love the fact that we've got those flexibilities. Sorry, Kat, I've gone off on a right tangent there.
Oh, good. It's one of the things that I really wanted to bring to this podcast, sort of a look into our office culture and how we work, because I think then people will understand us as people better, which would be nice.
And not just pretty pictures on the website.
Exactly that. You'll hear the voices and be able to be like, oh, I know, and then faces eventually, and it will be a fantastic way to get to know all of the team.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
moving on to send trends. So in this part of our podcast, we'll be discussing with everybody what they've noticed within the send world, what they've noticed is coming out as a bit of a trend at the moment. It might not change month to month, but also we do know that things move fast. So sometimes there will be a bit of something that makes us all take a step back. So have you noticed over the last month, thinking back to December, I know it feels a million years ago already, have
Yeah.
you noticed any trends within the send world?
I just bang on all the time about the growing trend of school avoidance. Um, and what um, I can't work out how the education sector aren't cottoning on to what the real reason is. Um, Yesterday, I spoke in a Facebook Live about other industries growing, so and progressing. So I made the example, and I'll do the same again because it's a real nice, clear one. But retail, I started my career, so to speak, in the retail sector, and I worked for a phenomenal retailer. We had the best training. It was absolutely out of this world. And I attribute a lot of my learning in business to those early foundations within that business. Massive, massive company. Now, when I look at how they used to operate, it was very sort of progressive back then, but it was, you had your what it wasn't chip and pin. You used to have to sign your card. Yeah. So you'd sign to make a card transaction. And then you could accept check at the till. So, you know, we would have their card, have a check. You would have this carbon copy thing to print the numbers on the back of the check. And if that didn't work, you were taught how to write the numbers on the back of the check, which, you know, the numbers that you need from the card. Um, Everything was paper-based. So if you had a return, I used to manage a baby department where there were a lot of nappies returned when the tags had come off them and stuff. And you'd have to send them away for investigation. But everything was done through paper returns. You have to stick them on there, put them in a certain part of the warehouse. Everything was very manual. Um, and I could go on and on and on, but I think we all remember, or people of a certain age remember, how even just that point of sale transaction would happen. So, like I said, with a signature on the card or the check, or if the card machines went down, you would have a manual way of putting the cards through. Now, skip forward to now. If I went into that same shop, I haven't got a person serving me anymore. It's an automatic till, it's a self-serve till. I have I'm paying with my Apple Watch, or I'm paying with my Apple Pay or equivalent, you know, for Android users. Um, and everything is very different. The store that I worked at still sells all very much the same stuff, but the customer experience is worlds apart. And so it should be. Technology has evolved, science has evolved. The psychology of purchasing things. We're also very aware and very respectful, actually, that people don't want to talk to people at the till anymore. Years ago, that used to be just a standard. But for people like me, I mean, I've got ADHD and selective mutism. It would take a lot of effort to pay for something at the till. I remember when I was 11, and going to, you know, my local Woolworths for the first time. And my friend was like, "Oh, did you want to buy something with your pocket money?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I can go to the till." And she's like, "What? I'll go to the till for you." So she had to do the whole transaction. I couldn't do it. And it wasn't for lack of training. My mum had trained me. You know, I watched her. She had taught me how to do all of this. I did not like the pressure of that interaction, and I felt like something was going to go wrong all the time. And then skip forward to using a card at the till. I always used to think it's going to get declined, it's going to get declined. I used to have this inner panic, and then I've got to explain myself to this person who I don't know, and they're judging me. I had all the anxiety around that transaction. Nowadays, going shopping is a breeze, much to my husband's dismay, because now I like shopping. Because I can use the self-serve. So we're very, very aware of the psychology of the sale. We're very aware of the sociology of the sale. We're very aware of people's different preferences when it comes to communicating, socializing, and making that purchase. Companies have cottoned on because it's going to make them more money. I'm spending more money in these shops because I don't have to talk to a human at the till. It's as simple as that. So if the big retailers are cottoning on, yeah, and we look at retail and we see the progression in the retail sector. Now, I go back to my childhood, to my education. It looks identical to today's education. There is not much difference, other than the fact there is a wider use of computers, and so there should be because the kids are demanding it. There is no actual difference. The child has to attend a building. They have to communicate with 30 other children in their class every single day, regardless. And, you know, we see them, everybody sort of saying, "Oh, schools are now businesses. They're turning into businesses. They're all, you know, becoming academies." And yes, there is a point to be made there. But if these people are seeing our education as business, why are they not progressing it? So, you know, whether they're seeing it as education in the old-fashioned way or whether they are seeing it as a progressive business, they are failing our children because they are not progressing in the same way as every other sector. So we as humans are progressing in every other area of life. Our needs are being met, but yet the place that our children are forced to be for 6 hours a day on is not suitable. So right there, we have our reason why children, 1 in 5 children, are now not attending school regularly. That's why, you know, over the last 2 years, we've seen these growing numbers of these ghost children, as they call them, the children that are missing from education in its entirety. I wonder why. It's a hellish place. You know, we get so many parents say to us, oh, I've been called to go into the school office to sign a form or whatever. They have anxiety just doing that. What on earth are their children actually experiencing in the classroom for 6 hours a day? Some kids can, some kids love it. One of my kids thrives in that environment. She absolutely loves it. And I can imagine her being surrounded by people as an adult because that's what she likes. But not all children, and the majority of children, actually, if we're being completely honest, they don't want it. They don't like it. And so if there's an option for flexi schooling or home ed or education other than at school, then of course they're going to take it. Because who would want to be stifled like that? Another thing, now that I'm on my little high horse with this, as adults, we have the wonderful benefit of choosing where we work. Some of us like a call center with hundreds of other people, and they like to be on a timer. They like it to be regimented. They like it to be really, really structured. That sounds like my idea of hell, by the way, because I love autonomy. I love to know that I've got a bunch of jobs that I can do over the course of the next 5 days, and I can do them as and when my brain feels like it can be activated to do them. I can have my brain breaks whenever I want. I can have movement breaks. I can get up and down and eat some food and go for a walk and do whatever I want as long as those jobs and those hours are done. That's my idea of bliss when it comes to work. And I end up doing way more than I probably set out to do because I'm pleasing my brain. I'm meeting my own needs. But as adults, we get to choose those environments to a certain extent. As children, they don't get to choose. They have to be in a class of 30 unless their parent is advocating for a move or something big happens and they have to be moved to a different kind of provision. But on the whole, we know there are more children in a mainstream provision than any other provision because it's natural. That's where, our local mainstream senior school has got 2,000 children in there. So we know that, the average child, whatever that is these days, is going to be going into that school. So they don't have a great deal of autonomy over that. What I do like is that some big schools are now creating small classes, so they're not just reliant on the 30 in a class. I know a local school to me, they have a real big cohort intake every year. And they make sure that they've got a couple of small class sizes in there. The children don't need EHCPs. They just need to be on that sort of radar to be able to say, yeah, they're not going to cope in a class of 30, but they're absolutely fine in a mainstream. Get them in that class of 10. So there are things that they could be doing, small changes that can be done at school level. We don't have to keep blaming the system. We don't have to keep blaming funding. We don't have to keep blaming Ofsted. I mean, don't get me wrong, all these people have things that they need to be accountable and held accountable for. And we know that. And that's a whole other podcast. But there is so much change at a very low level that can be happening to make school a more enjoyable experience for our kids. But yes, school avoidance.
Absolutely. I fully agree with everything you've just said right there. And thank you for joining us today, Chrissa. Up next, we have one of our absolute rock star advocates, Gabby. Welcome, Gabby.
Good morning, Kat, or good afternoon.
Yes, good morning or good afternoon, depending on the time you are listening out there. So, what I want to know is, what was your highlight of 2023?
Ooh, is this a personal highlight or a highlight in Send or a highlight in anything?
A highlight in, from personal. Let's go personal.
Okay.
What's a personal highlight for you for 2023?
Joining Sunshine Support. Absolute personal highlight of not just 2023, of the last 46 years.
Okay.
So an absolute highlight, an absolute dream job. A pleasure to be with such a knowledgeable team who are so supportive, but also working so hard to support these families that I just couldn't support as a Senko in the way that I wanted to. So that's been an absolute personal highlight. In terms of other highlights, I think one of the things that has been really good to see is that, as we were just talking sort of off camera. Not that we're on camera, but off radio. I don't know what you call it these days. But the fact that things like pandas are being more recognised, and there's now a group of medics that have pulled together to start doing more research and to sort of, I suppose, troubleshoot what they are seeing and to try and sort of develop recognition. So that's been a real highlight of 2023. And also, although it's really this doesn't sound like a highlight actually, but I think the fact that so many more parents are coming forward for support is a highlight, because what that's doing is it's gaining send children traction in terms of getting their needs met. Whereas I think prior to 2023, maybe, I think we were still seeing that trajectory and that that powerful force of parent power. But I just think 2023 has been a real clincher for that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether other people are seeing that as a trend, but I definitely feel that, unless it's just because I've joined Sunshine Support and I'm seeing all these fabulous parents and fabulous families who are just fighting for their kids. But I don't know, I just feel as though there's been a wave of people going, actually, I'm not going to sit back. I'm going to now take the ball by the horns and really fight for what my child needs. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd fully agree with you in terms of trends. It's like the snowball has started, and we're just starting to see now that really tipping point where families are not only coming forward, but people are actually listening to us as well as a professional and being like, oh, okay, so there is maybe a better way of doing this. That hand in hand working is creating some real change.
Yeah, agreed. And definitely, I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot more Senkos and people working in schools and education are now seeking more support. So, I came to Sunshine as a professional looking for support, to support a child. Actually, my original reason for coming to Sunshine was to look for support for a child who wasn't attending, because the school had started going down the prosecution route. And I just remember talking to the mum and saying, there's got to be a better way than this. There's got to be a better way. You've got one child that's in school completely fine and one child that's not attending. So this is not a parenting issue. And I think as a Senko, I'm seeing more and more Senko friends and people in education starting to recognise this. It's certainly again, groups, Facebook groups and companies like ours and support like ours is definitely helping that. And the fact that I think what's really nice is that a lot of what we do at Sunshine, I think I'm going off topic, but I think what we do at Sunshine is great because we don't just support parents, we support professionals as well. And I felt coming to Sunshine as a professional looking for help. I didn't feel as though it was them and us. I felt as though everybody was in it together. So that was a really nice thing. And I think we're seeing more of that, and we will see more of that as time goes on.
And thank you for joining us, Gabby. It's been lovely to hear your insights. Up next, we have our media coordinator, George, where we will talk ADHD, burnout, and why 2023 was a tough year. So welcome to Sip of Sunshine, George.
Hello, I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome. So do you want to tell us a little about what you do? Because you are very much like me, a behind the scenes person.
Yeah, so Kat and I both have the privilege of not being the face of Sunshine. We're sort of down in the basement. It's quite nice though. We sort of hide away, sort of making sort of the day-to-day operations of Sunshine Support happen. So all the little technical bits, working with Zoom, answering your inquiries, editing videos, publishing the blogs, working the website, helping people get into webinars, all that sort of stuff. You wouldn't think that you'd think it's just automatically happening, like it's AI, but it's not AI, it's me and Kat.
Yes, and that's it. Exactly. It is us behind the scenes typing away to all of your emails. When you get a bit stuck, we're the ones to come to help.
And usually we can give you the answer, because our top tip for anyone listening, just Google it. You'll always find the answer. That's most of our job. If someone is stuck, we will Google the answer and let you know. But you don't need us.
No, Google is our best. Best friend. So let's take a think back then to 2023. What have been your highlights of the past year?
But I'm just going to say, I think 2023 was just a bit rubbish. I think since 2019, that awful year, it's just been a bit, we've had everything thrown at us. And I think nobody's saying that. It's not been a very good time. And that's absolutely fine to sort of look back and think that wasn't a very good year. Because it just wasn't. There's so many things. And it's fine to feel a bit negative towards it. I feel that's just important to say that because no one else is going to say that. I don't think it's a negative thing to say that. I think it's quite very, very reasonable.
And I think it's given us a lot of trajectory for the future as well. So we sort of know where we need to build from, where we need to grow, where we need to put our time and energy.
It's that resilience, I think. I think we've got so much resilience now. And I think a lot of us have come out of burnout. Like definitely last year, I was just not in a very good place, just like mentally or physically. And I come into this year and I feel like I know what to do now. I know if things are thrown at me, I can handle them because I've just had those 4 years. And I think a lot of us are going to feel that way.
Let's think about neurodivergent burnout. It is something that within our team, we are very aware of. And we do try to sort of not manage it because you can't always do that, but just be more of aware of how it's affecting us and therefore affecting the team. Do you feel like you're definitely this year going to be looking for that more?
I am, and I think we're very lucky at Sunshine because we've got an amazing team. Most of us are neurodivergent, and most of us are very good at detecting when one of us isn't feeling too great. And we always kind of have that support to reach out. We do an online cuppa and chat that the public can join. We have a staff one as well, which is exclusive just to us. So if the staff members, if we need a bit of a rant or event, or just want to listen and be social with each other, we can go to that and have our own little time together.
I love those because we work from home predominantly. I couldn't do my job in the office. It would drive people insane to hear the same clip, the same sound playing over and over and over again. So it's kind of that coming together, and just every other Wednesday morning we have an hour to just chat and really vent what we're struggling with.
Because we work in the basement as well, sometimes it's nice just to see some of their faces, because Kat and I don't really have anything to do with the advocacy side of things. And apart from promoting it, we don't see them very often unless it's like a video clip of their face. So it's actually nice to be able to remember they're there and talk to them. It's like, oh, we've got friends, we've got other humans in the workplace.
Well, thank you for briefly popping up out of the basement, George.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for joining us for our very first Sip of Sunshine, listeners. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a snippet of the behind the scenes. If you want to hear more from Chrissa, Gabby, George and me, then why not check out the Sunshine Academy? It's our subscription-based service where we have hours of learning, quizzes, audio blogs and a developing early years section. It's just $9.99 a month and you can cancel any time. The extended episode of Sip of Sunshine, which is an hour and a half long, is on the Academy, featuring things like Send Trends, our thoughts on the news and much more. You can find us at www.sunshine-support.org/academy. Don't forget, if you need any support from us, you can find us on social media or give our website a visit at www.sunshine-support.org. Have a fantastic day, whatever you have planned, and again, thanks for listening.